Well, I would say that if we would distribute the food correctly, even in Africa they could get enough food, they wouldn't have to die out of hunger. Even if the natural selection with diseases would take care of a certain amount of people, that would be all right. But deliberately to induce illnesses, that is unethical. And that can be done, like I was shocked to hear that WHO over 20 years ago, when injecting people in Africa against smallpox, they had AIDS virus in it. I mean, they had the virus to create AIDS. And today, when we're talking about the swine influenza, well, first of all, it is swine virus, it is human virus, and the bird virus together. Of course, that's in American military laboratories that has been invented. And if they are being distributed all over the world, of course they will put microchips into it all. Because that means that we can control all the world population. It's not only being zombies, we can also kill them if we want, because the idea is that we are too many. Now, that in my mind is terribly, terribly unethical, because they forget what it is to be a human being. I just read that there are countries in Europe that are, at the moment when handicapped children are being born, they are eliminating them, because they say, well, we don't want them to have a bad life. There are 10,000 elderly in a country in Europe that they have been killed because, they're too old. Yeah. Now, they don't think, those doctors, unethical doctors and nurses doing this, that the meaning of life is not, number one, to be a body, but it is to be a mind, it is to be a soul. Yeah. And if you are born handicapped, you have chosen, your soul has, your energy, your consciousness, which is eternal, has chosen to go into this body to learn and to teach. Yeah. And they take that away. Now that's totally wrong. We have no right to interfere in other people's lives, no right whatsoever in a negative way. We should just support them, help them, love them, and learn from them.
But this is going on. I know exactly in Denmark, some older people, they suddenly get a heart attack or disease, and then they suddenly die. And it goes fast now. They are really speeding up. But sometimes when we talk about this elite, unethical elite going on in the world, and doctors and everything, I just say, but most people, they are disconnected. They are all, because when they are not if they were in connection with their soul, you can say, they would be ethical. They would know that if they did something that was not ethical, they would have to face it sooner or later. But it seems like the program is running on all levels, in governments, in the healthcare system, which is not a healthcare system. It's it's just a distributor for big pharma, But it's like that all over. It's the same program running, and doctors are also zombies. Politicians are zombies. They're just.
I think they have been microchipped to behave the way they do. Yeah. And they do it without their knowledge. Because in principle, students going to medical school, generally I think, when they start, they're all idealistic. They want to help. When they're through with the studies, they're cynical. And something happens in between. Yeah. And that's the teaching, that's putting you into the A4, into the system. Yeah. And you have to stay in the system, or you are called whatever. Yeah. You're an outsider. And it's the system that has to be changed. And how do you change it? Number one, you have to be aware what it is to be a human being. Yeah. That is, you are the energy, you are the consciousness, which can never die. And when you think of that, then you really start thinking, I'm doing some bad things now, I'm going to be responsible. And what I am doing to somebody is going to be exactly done to me now or later with interest. So if you're selfish, so-called, you should be very kind to everybody, because then you know that everything's running fine. Yeah. But those people, the elite, who are governing this, they do not believe that people have a consciousness, a soul. They do not believe that there is something that is called reincarnation. That is something Eastern religions, and they look down upon them. Yeah. Now, Eastern, I would say, cultures have had wisdom that West needs to learn from. But because the Western technology has gone so fast up. So we look down about anything that's spiritual. We don't accept it, and we think it's just nonsense, and it's religious whatever aspects. And until each of us will be stopped. I mean, it can be like I was stopped by a car accident. It can be death of your child. It can be death of your spouse, whatever. It stops your normal routine, and you start thinking why, especially when a child dies. You say, what's the meaning of this life? Why did the child die? If you don't know that the consciousness was born and chose to be born to that body, to those parents, and mind you, first to this planet and to that country. So if you don't know that, you're very, very devastated. But if you know that it was there to teach you, to stop you, and to learn something, and also because it maybe has had done something which wasn't totally acceptable in a previous existence, so now it sort of pays the interest and is here just for a little while and then continues. There is no death. But of course the physical is gone, and we are always focusing on a physical. We see it's a male, it's a female, it's a dolphin, it's a dog, it's a cat, instead of the soul. And like they say, eyes are the expression of the soul. So you just look into the eyes. If you see an ET, you just look into the eyes, and all of a sudden you realize you're one. It's an energy of love that's between us. And therefore it's very, very important that people would change their focus from the physical body to the energy, because otherwise they don't understand things that's happening today.